I really love doodling, but sometimes I feel a little bit doodle challenged. And one of the solutions to that is to use a template. And you can see here on this layout that I have used a template to create the entire background for my page. It's almost like having your own custom pattern paper. Let me show you how easy it is to do. So here is my template, and I'm just using a piece of white cardstock, and I have taped off the portions of my template that I don't want to use so that I don't even have to think while I'm doodling. Then I'm going to use a pen that has a very tiny, tiny tip. I want to use a permanent pen, and all I'm going to do is I'm simply not even thinking about it. If the template raises up, I don't worry about it, but I'm just using the edge of that template and I'm thrusting my pen against it so that I don't even have to think about whether it's neat or messy or what's happening. I just want to get the shape of these doodles down. And this is something great to do with kids or anybody who feels like they need a little bit of help coming up with some doodles that are fun to do. And let me just show you the result there. Isn't that cool? It looks so intricate and detailed, and all I did was trace. So here's one that's completely done, and I just love it. And now I'm going to take a transparent pen, because after I've done all of that work, why would I want to mess it up? And I'm just removing the little cap that's right there. And I just pull that off and discard it. And now this pen has a really liquid ink that's just going to fill in each of these shapes. And I'm just letting it run through that whole thing. And because it's transparent, again, I don't have to be that careful. And how awesome is it to not have to be that careful? Because even if I go over the edge, you'll be able to see right through it. So it doesn't really matter. Now, one of the things that I did when I was doing this for my layout is I decided that I didn't actually want to color the whole thing. I only wanted to color the center section. And that's another nice thing, which is you can really change the look based on the colors you choose, how much you choose to color. I mean, this would be a very different layout if I decided that I wanted to color in the whole thing, or if I wanted to make it multicolored, or even if I just colored it blue, it would be very different. So I have one here that I have colored in, that center section, very cool looking. And now what I want to do is I want to add some watercolor splats just to give it a little bit of movement. So I'm taking a super wet brush and I'm dipping it into some black paint, loading my brush with paint and water. And then I'm going to go ahead and just tap, tap, tap on the brush and spread those watercolor droplets out. And now I'm going to set this aside to dry while we work on the title. So the next material I'm working with is something that's probably familiar to you. It's deli paper, which is the kind of paper that you use to wrap your sandwiches. And I have a couple other tools. One of them is a piece of foam, which I'm going to put under my deli paper because that's going to create a cushion that's going to allow me to get a really nice print. I want to use a permanent black stamping ink because I'm going to doodle on top of this stamped image. So I'm just going to ink up this nice, big, bold stamp. And then I'm going to press it down. I have the foam underneath onto the deli paper, and I just try to put the entire weight of my body on that to get a nice impression. And boom, there it is, a beautiful impression thanks to that little foam pad. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an opaque pen. And notice how it also has that little thing you need to take off, but notice how the 2 is not finished out. Well, I am going to fix that because I am going to just finish that 2. I just do the top, and again, the ink flows out of these pens almost like paint, so it just goes on real smooth and easy, and I don't have to think about it too much. I'm enjoying the zen of coloring. And I just go across, filling it in, letting it all flow together. And it's actually going to dry to an opaque, milky finish. And you know, I might do this stripe too to add a little coordination. And this again ties the color orange throughout the layout, which I've used in the background, which is in the photo I'm using. And once it dries, it is going to lighten up to something that looks a little bit more like this. You can see where I cut it out. But the other thing I'm going to do is notice how I have written the word girls right here. Well, I'm going to take a very small pen, once again, a permanent black pen, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline that because I want it to have a little bit more impact. But I'm not at all worried about being exactly on the lines or anything like that. I'm just giving it an easy outline. And then that, again, is very easy to cut out. And one of the things I like working with the deli paper is if I bring this over, and my watercolor is still a little bit wet, so it may get onto some of the deli paper, but if I put that onto this layout, you can hardly even tell that it isn't exactly cut out. And the same is true for the two. So all I would do is add my photo right here. And you can even tear a little piece of deli paper as a background, add a little bit of tape to add some texture. And now let's look at the final one. And you can see that I trimmed down the white cardstock with a paper trimmer. And then I used some scissors to cut this nice wonky edge out of some pattern paper and glue it right on. I like that contrast of the handmade with something that's a little harder. I hope that you enjoyed this, and we'll be right back.